In this lesson, we'll look at Active Directory users, creating computer accounts in Active Directory and adding a computer to a domain. For every computer that joins a domain, there must be a computer account in Active Directory. A computer account is an object that identifies a network computer and is associated with a specific hardware device. Most often when joining a computer to a domain, the user provides credentials that create a computer account. With this method, the computer account is added to the domain's default computers container. If you want to have the computer added to an organizational unit, or OU, you have a few methods to choose from. One method is to pre-stage a computer account in the desired OU if the account is created in the OU. Then the computer will be added to the OU directly and will not need to be moved from the computer's container. Another method is to use the redirect command. This method redirects computer accounts that would normally be created in the computer's container to a specified OU. Active Directory also provides a method for creating a computer account when a network connection doesn't exist. This is through the offline domain join feature using the djoin command. After a computer account is created, the corresponding computer can join the domain. The computer must be in the domain before it can receive group policy settings or before Active Directory can receive workstation-specific information. You'll need administrative rights on the computer to complete the procedure. You can use the netdom join command to join a computer to the domain. Or if you have a Windows 10 or 11 Pro, Enterprise, or Education edition, you can also go to the Settings app to join it to the domain. When a computer joins a domain, a password for the computer is automatically generated and is used to authenticate the computer to the domain. This password is saved on both the local computer and in Active Directory. By default, the password is automatically changed every 30 days, so if you have the computer turned off for an extended period, rebuild the computer or replace the computer with a new computer, but use the same computer account name, the computer will not connect to the domain and an error will be generated. You will need to reset the computer account and rejoin the computer to the domain to resolve the error. Knowing how to create and manage Active Directory user accounts is important because these accounts are what provide users access to Active Directory and give them a gateway to Active Directory resources they need. Active Directory makes it easy to create a new user account using various methods. For example, users can be added using the Active Directory Users and Computers console accessible from Server Manager. They can also be created using a Windows PowerShell script or the command prompt. If you are going to be creating users on a regular basis, you can even create a template to simplify the process and provide consistency. An important concept to remember when creating users is to establish a naming convention and follow it consistently. This concept will help prevent duplicate usernames. For example, if your naming scheme for the user logon name only specified that the first letter of their first name and all of the person's last name be used, then a user, such as Andy Waters, would have a logon name of A. Waters. This naming scheme would work well until another employee, such as Alice Waters, was hired because now, using this same naming scheme, she would also have the logon name of A. Waters, which wouldn't work. To avoid situations like this, your naming scheme for the user logon name could specify that a middle initial is used, or that if there were no middle initial, a number could be added to the end of the logon name. With this type of naming scheme, Andy's logon name would be AP Waters, while Alice's would be A Waters 1. Consistency is also important when filling out the attributes or properties associated with each account. Being consistent in filling out specific attributes can be very helpful when you need to do a database query to find all of the users containing that attribute. For example, you may want to be able to generate a list of all of the employees in a particular city, state, or province. However, if you're not consistent in ensuring each employee has those attributes filled out, the results won't be accurate when you do your query. Another concept to understand with user accounts is knowing the difference between each of the name types used with Active Directory. First is the username or logon name, the user account name used to log into Active Directory. Next is the user principal name or UPN. This name type is a combination of the user account name and the DNS domain name. For example, awaters in the corpnet.com domain would have the UPN of awaters@corpnet.com. Then we have the distinguished name for every object in Active Directory. This name type is the way that Active Directory refers to objects and identifies the full path to an object, which includes the object name and all parent objects to the root of the domain. Active Directory uses identifiers for each component of the distinguished name. CN is used for both the common name and the container name. OU is for organizational unit, and DC is for domain component. So, in our previous example, if the Andy Waters account were in the Seattle OU of the sales OU, the distinguished name would be written as CN equals A Waters, OU equals Seattle, OU equals sales, DC equals CorpNet, DC equals com. If Andy's user account were in the users container, the distinguished name would be CN equals A Waters, CN equals users, DC equals CorpNet, DC equals com. The last name type is the relative distinguished name, or RDN. This name type is used to identify an object within its container and only needs to be unique within the object's container. In our example here, it would be CN equals A Waters. Now, when it comes to managing users, you will find you can do most of it from the Active Directory Users and Computers console. You can do many things like configuring logon hours, workstation restrictions, account expiration, restoring accidentally deleted accounts, and managing passwords. Most of these can be configured from the Accounts tab.